everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know I haven't said that in a while on here. I think the last video I shot, it was definitely in 2023. I want to say it would have been about 8 months ago. So it's been a little while, and literally just because life has been lifing. So trying to get other things situated, posted on the joint channel with Angel, but I haven't really posted on here. But I thought today would be a good day to do an impromptu video, just talking to the camera a little bit. Well, talking to you guys a little bit. About something. For those who don't know me, I am 30, and a video I've wanted to do for a little while are the harsh truths that I've learned in my 20s, because I do think that there's a lot of wisdom that you get through experience, and some of the advice you're given, I think over time you learn that it's not quite true, or you just accumulate your own opinions on things and things like that. So I don't know, I just wanted to do a video about some of the harsh truths that I've learned in my 20s. And some of this is through personal experience, some of this is through observation, some of this is through conversations, like joint experiences, and just accumulating kind of a wealth of knowledge as my friends, my family, people I've encountered have all navigated their 20s. I've just entered my 30s. I turned 30 this year, so I thought it'd be helpful to do a video like this for myself to reflect on, but also for people who are navigating their 20s or those who are in their 30s now to agree, disagree. Let me know what you think as well. So let's see. I wrote some stuff down months ago, so now I'm coming back to it. Ooh, this is good. Reflecting back on this list, these are some good things I wrote down. Okay, so I'll start with this one, and it is that most people won't apologize. So at least in certain Black communities, growing up, it's like a funny thing, whatever, that when your parents are wrong, they won't apologize. They'll just say, like, come eat or something like that, and they'll do things that reflect an apology, or they do things to show that they would like to make amends. I've realized that that is not just a thing that parents do. That is a trait that a lot of people carry throughout life. They don't really learn to apologize even when they know they're wrong. So that's just something you have to live with, right? Like, you have to kind of think about how important it is for you to receive an apology and navigate that, if that makes sense. They call me naive. Before that, I thought that was a parent-child dynamic, and that my assumptions about life was that as you navigate through life, you get older, you learn to apologize, you learn to be wrong. That's another thing. A lot of people don't like to be wrong. I mean, a lot of people don't like to be called out for being wrong. It can be clear as day that they're wrong, but they don't care, if that makes sense, right? They don't care about right or wrong. They just care to hold on to their own opinions. And I think that that's something that you will learn through life. Like, I guess when I was at Spelman, the way we were taught is that it was just cultural competency and kind of just understanding different perspectives. People don't care for that. It's something that I had to learn, right? Like, most people don't care. Not most. A lot of people don't care for that. I don't know if it's most or what, but a lot of people don't care to understand other people's perspectives. They're happy to be wrong and just navigate life being wrong. And that's just something that I didn't expect. So I guess this goes hand in hand. So maybe I'll do this one next. And one of the things I wrote down was people are not as culturally competent as I once assumed. I've learned that some people just don't care for that. You can have this same discussion and you could explain, well, the dynamics are different depending on where you live. Definitions will be different, things will be different, etc. And some people generally just don't care for that. They don't care to understand different cultures. They don't care to travel. They don't care for any of those things. They don't care to interact with people from different backgrounds, different races, different ethnicities. So that was something that I thought I didn't know before my 20s. And like I said, maybe I'm naive. Like, I really thought that they're just people that were, I thought it was like only like people who were racist or xenophobic or something like that that didn't actually care to enhance their cultural competency and to actually seek understanding in other people. But then as I got older, I'm just like, oh no, okay, they're just some people that are happy living this way. Like, you can break down differentiation and culture to them and they just generally don't care for it. So that was something I learned too. What is another hard truth that I learned in my 20s? Oh, this is a good one. And I guess it's a bit more on the positive side. The importance of community. I think that we do not stress the importance of community enough. And it's possibly just because it is something that is second nature. A lot of us are born in a lot of communal spaces. A lot of us a lot of us naturally have communities. But I think as you get older and your circles get smaller and you have less reasons to network, you have less reasons to talk to everyone in school, all these kind of things, I think it's still very important to maintain community. Even as you literally build your nuclear families, your new nuclear families, I think, and you have relationships, all these kind of things, you go your separate ways. I think it's still very, very, very important to build community because at the end of the day, a lot of times people that you're in community with are the only people that can understand your nuances and can understand the reasons you think why you think and can understand the reasons you do things that you do, right? Like first we have family, of course, but then you have people that you live in the same neighborhoods with. You have people that you've went to school with. You have people that you've interacted with in any type of capacity. And I think it's really important to always kind of maintain that community as you navigate life. I don't know. I just think we don't stress enough how important community is, but you see it time and time again, especially because I think that today there are a lot of means of dividing people. So, there's always been like divisiveness and means of dividing people. But I think that now more than ever, we see a lot of narratives that are very divisive. And because of that, I think it's really, 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 really important to kind of lean on your communities and build up your communities. A lot of these are kind of about individuality and how people navigate life. Because another one I had was that everyone doesn't want to be a better person. So that was also something that I had to learn, where my idea of life has always been if you know better, you'll do better. What I mean by that is I always thought the way that everyone navigated life was when you know better, you do better. Of course, it's going to be difficult to know better in the sense that if someone poses something to you, you don't agree, you might not change it. However, I never realized that people are content with or like complacent even when they know they can do better. So even when they know they're doing something poorly or they're not doing the right thing or they may not be doing the right thing, even when they agree with that whole idea, they still may not want to change it. They're happy understanding that, yep, this is wrong and that's how I want to live my life. And that was just something I had to learn. Like I just didn't know people were going through life like that because I've always been someone, if I'm doing something that is incorrectly, if I'm doing something that someone perceives as hurtful or wrong or incorrect or whatever it is, and I don't know, I don't want to live in a state of unconscious ignorance, right? Like I want someone to come to me and say, hey, do you know X? Do you know Y? Do you realize you're doing this? But there isn't a direct correlation between like internal self-work all the time and being in a relationship. I feel like there's a lot of narratives around this idea that if you work on yourself, you'll have a successful relationship. I just think that's plain and simply not true. We all know, and think about it as you watch this video, horrible people that have been in relationships forever, that will continue probably to be in relationships forever. We all know like people that have been married for decades and you hear stories about how they navigate their relationship and they just like stuck it out. So I don't understand where that really comes from. And we all know great people who are not in relationships. And I just think that's interesting to point out because at least I've seen here and there on social media, a lot of people make these videos about how they're such great people, but somehow they aren't able to find a partner. And I think it's because of this idea that you work on yourself and then your partner will come. Where I think in actuality, if you're intentional about finding a partner, you'll find a partner, right? Like if you go out and look for a partner, if you find someone who's like-minded, if you want to get married, you couple with someone who wants to get married. You don't just want to get married and then couple with anyone and then hope one day that they'll propose. All those kind of things. I think relationships take intentionality like everything else. And this idea that it will come is actually not real. And that's something that I had to learn. I thought that was like the case as well. Sometimes class similarities lead to a lot more shared values than cultural similarities. Not all the time, but I've found that there are a lot of times where someone who is very different from you but may fall similarly situated on the class level. So, and when I say class, I mean socioeconomic, not just like financial. So literally like education, same kind of memberships, go to the same kind of organizations, all these kind of things. It could be someone who personality-wise or whose upbringing is very different than yours, but because of the fact that you share class similarity, you'll have a lot of shared values. And I found that to be true in friendships, in dating, and in a bunch of different types of relationships. I found that to be true, and just observe that amongst a lot of people, where I think that a lot of times people think that once you have a shared culture, that's automatically going to lead to a lot of shared values, and that's not always the case. So like, for example, my ethnicity, I think that there are some times where I find people with a completely different ethnicity than me that have a lot more shared values than someone who does come from the same ethnicity as me, if that makes sense. Let's see, last but not least, if you like this, maybe I'll go back and do the rest, so let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you agree, if you disagree. Last but not least, a lot of people don't learn from their mistakes. So this idea that people will learn from their mistakes, I just don't think it's true. I think people will keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, and it generally will take a huge consequence or literally for them to just disagree with it. But I do think that people continue to make the same mistakes over and over again, and it's something you just have to clock, because this idea that they won't keep making the same mistake is just not true. And whether it's in friendships, relationships, etc., it's something that you have to be aware of when you do see someone continuously repeating a cycle. And I think it's because a lot of things in life do become cyclic, right? You don't even understand that you're running through a cycle and you're doing the same things in different forms. Like someone will, for example, do the same exact thing that they did in their past intimate relationship, and the intimate relationship before, and the intimate relationship before it, and they won't even realize that they're following the same patterns. And that's what I mean, right? Like, people do not learn from their mistakes is something that I found, and that's just like what it is. I don't know, but let me know if you disagree with some of these, if you agree with some of these. I think these are just the harsh truths that I've learned in my 20s that I think people don't talk about enough, and that you just have to learn to navigate around, if that makes sense. And let me know if you want me to do more YouTube videos again. I haven't done a video like this in a while, but who knows? I might start again. We'll see.
I do you them a Zion lane, so for sing a singer. Zion lane, young man. All who wish more power, wish more. We have to say no charging. I know for no did a check for me name. Oh, if you see me mash up and drop on me face. No, I'm me there, so I top of the game. I see him bleach out.